Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is June the 18th, 2016. I did a bunch of videos about the Orlando shooting, and I figured, you know what, I'm just going to leave it at that. But I've watched a press conference. Actually, I'm in the middle of watching a press conference right now, and I find it extremely disturbing. Now, I need to express this. This is a theory that I've had ever since 9/11. And ever since I have seen all these terrorist attacks come to light and what I've seen on the alternative media. And I believe it's a subversion. I believe it's a type of inadvertent subversion. Now, I have no credentials whatsoever. I started studying Islam because my hobby is studying eschatology. When I got to Islam studying eschatology, I ended up reading the Quran, the Hadith, the Surah, Sunnah, all of that. When I read those books, I noticed that Islam could be used as an army of trained killers. Now, that's my thought, and if you read it, you will have a similar thought. After I studied Islam, I then started studying terrorism and counterterrorism. I also studied a little bit of subversion. So that is what I have studied for a 10-year period. Again, I have no credentials. I'm just a mom who has kids who sees what's going on. So with this 9/11, with all of these attacks, the thing that I've noticed is the inadvertent subversion. Now, if you look at all of these Islamic attacks, if you look at who's behind them, and I believe it's the secret societies, it's the New World Order that's behind these Islamic attacks, as well as Islam and the secret societies, and I've showed you how they connect through the Shriners, that you will see that all of these things are being controlled. Now, I want to talk about this inadvertent subversion of the alternative media. If I were a person that's going to subvert a government, one thing that I would be focusing on is the media, the mainstream media, as well as the alternative media. If I were a subverter, I would try to subvert both of those, the alternative as well as the mainstream media. How is the alternative media being inadvertently subverted? It's my belief that they are being inadvertently subverted by actors that are being questioned by the mainstream media. It makes it look as though it's a false flag, that it didn't happen when people really died, when it really was a terrorist attack. So that would be the perfect way to get the alternative media off of the real problem here, which is Islam, which is these terrorist attacks, is to make people think that it really didn't happen by hiring actors to carry people to the scene of the crime instead of away, to be questioned by the mainstream media without tears in their eyes, to make it look fake when it's really true. So, I'm here at my video. I hope I explained that well enough for you to understand. I'm at a video that I did titled Mass Shooting in Florida, False Flag. And I talked about Bachabazi. I talked about the Imam that went to the mosque. So, I want to let you listen to this and match up what he said, because I found that this Imam spoke at this mosque and said to kill gays a few weeks prior to this shooting taking place. Okay? I could not match up that the killer went to this mosque. Well, someone did. So let me let you listen to a portion of both of these videos to further submit what I was trying to explain.
Dr. Farouk Sakalishfar lives in Iran, according to his online bio, and he's been condemning homosexuals since at least 2013.
Death is the sentence. I mean, look, there's nothing to be embarrassed about this. that death is the sentence.
He admits the Islamic death sentence applies.
Now, I want to show you this retired counterterrorism person who has written a book about what's going on. And this man was harassed by Homeland Security, by the CIA, while he was trying to uncover what was really going on. I'm going to do a video about this press conference later on down the line. And if you don't know about the video that I did earlier about this that explains what took place at the Orlando shooting and how I put the mosque with the shooting and tied it together, I'll leave the link so you can see that. But I want you to listen to what this man says, because he did end up matching up the shooter with this mosque.
It gets better, or worse. Okay, the news breaks about the shooting in Orlando a couple days ago. My colleague and I, we have an RV. We're on a book tour. We're sitting in the RV, and I decided I'm going to go step by step through an investigation and connect the dots on this case, just like I used to when I was active duty, except for one caveat. I don't have classified information anymore. So I'm going to do this thing open source. So in order for me to verify or drive a stake into the ground for the beginning of the case, the first thing that I had to do was irrefutably verify that Omar Mir Siddiqui Mateen was in fact affiliated with the Islamic Center of Fort Pierce. We heard bits and pieces of it. So I gathered up all the open source information I could find, I laid it on the table, and I went after it. And I queried and I queried, and I finally found an article in the Palm Beach Post, a local paper, quoting the Imam, whose name is Shafiqur Rahman, that yes, indeed, Omar Mir Siddiqui Mateen was a member of this mosque. Now I have the stake in the ground. It's a solid.
Now, what if the secret societies and the New World Order are using Islam as a bullet, as I've mentioned? What would they do? They would hire actors to then get on the mainstream media. They would hire actors to take body to the scene of the crime, knowing that the alternative media would pick up on this in order to discredit what is really happening. They're discrediting the fact that people did get killed. They're making you think that it didn't happen when it really did. This terrorist attack did take place. I believe it's connected to the foiled California attack as well. But it's being used by the New World Order. And when it gets discredited enough on the alternative media, people then start to think that it was not a terrorist attack when in fact it was. I hope I've explained that well enough. I hope you understand where I'm going with this. This is Call of Duty Goddess. I'll leave the links below. Signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.